Your WWE Monday Night Raw review is about to get underway as we discuss Drew McIntyre getting beat down by the leftovers of Retribution, Alexa Bliss explaining a little bit more about Lily, and Charlotte Flair takes things to another level. We're going to talk about that and so much more right after this. Dreary Night Writings presents Tundra, a wanderer's tale into darkness, and four tales from hell. Visit the official site of Marilyn Velez at drearynightwritings.com, where the quill drips blood.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, your number one source for the latest in WWE news and straightforward analysis. Are you ready to get this thing going?
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
Then let's get this show started right now.
All right, everybody. Welcome to your Monday Night Raw review here on the WWE Podcast for Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. And I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everyone got the verdict that they wanted. Oh, Lord. The Derek Chauvin case, if you're interested in such things, it's all over the news. It'll be in the news cycle for a couple of days, and then, we'll go into the next tragedy or whatever else is going on. But I'll leave politics out of it. That's all I'll say. I'm not obviously going to state whether or not I agree with it. I'll leave it at that because it's a dangerous slope. But hey, wanted to mention it because it's probably on everyone's mind. So you're either overjoyed or disgusted. There's no in between, right? Like overjoyed or disgusted. So anyway, we're here to talk wrestling. Let's talk wrestling. Because we had a Monday Night Raw that was, I think, good. It was a good show. I enjoyed it. Really, I mean, it was a very solid Monday Night Raw from at least the Hulu version. I did see the text and the highlights of the shows or the matches that they did not put on Hulu. So I am privy to the rest of the card, and we'll get through that, of which the United States Champion, of all things, was not on the Hulu version. The second biggest championship on Raw. And the champion of Sheamus, who is no slouch and a big star in his own right, was not on the Hulu version. I really wonder who edits and decides who goes on this. I mean, it has to be WWE. It can't obviously be Hulu. They aren't the ones to decide. So take that for what it is worth. And I was a little bit shocked about that. I'll be honest about that. When you have Sheamus, who has become a big star, an even bigger star than I think most people thought he would be upon his return, and has added to his legacy, he's not on the Hulu version. It's alarming, especially when he's the United States champion. Now, again, it's 1 week, but it is a little bit, it's eyebrow raising. So we will get to that. We'll get to the Drew McIntyre and leftovers of Retribution as Mace and T-Bar have a 2-on-1 handicap match at McIntyre's request. We get a little bit more from Alexa Bliss about Lily, and she tells her story about how she came to be. We get a little bit more from Shaina Basler. We get some progression in the Randy Orton storyline now with Riddle, although Randy Orton didn't know who the hell he was, which I have some thoughts on that. And then, of course, we get the Charlotte Flair segment at the end of the show that I have some conflicting thoughts compared to what WWE was trying to tell me what to feel with Charlotte, Asuka, and Rhea Ripley. Really, really backwards booking, but I feel strongly, which is a good thing. If you're a fan, you want to feel something. But it really strongly contradicts what WWE is trying to make me feel. So we're going to get to that and why I feel that way. Maybe you do too in just a second. But first, I'd like to give a shout out to the latest patrons of our show. This is over the last week, so maybe I'm duplicating a couple of these names, but if I am, then hey, you get a double shout out. And we have new patron Nick Hardyboy, Aiden O'Connell, Nathan Palmer, Elvis Escobar, and Rigart Muller. So I hope I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, my apologies. I'm sometimes terrible with the English language. But thank you to all of you for your patronage on the show. I hope you enjoy an ad-free experience over there at Patreon. And all the other benefits. Lots of other stuff coming soon, as I said. Why don't you guys join them? Because things are going to be growing pretty quickly over there at Patreon. There's going to be more video coming, exclusive shows that are going to be moving to that feed. yes, exclusive shows that are normally free will be moving. Not many. I'm going to start out with just one of them. I'll let you know tomorrow what that show is going to be. One of them is going to move exclusively to Patreon very soon, and I'll be letting you know which one that is again tomorrow. But you get an ad-free experience, and for $1 a month for 600 plus episodes, it's a pretty good deal. I'm not going to lie to you. So head on over there. But okay, let's get to Monday Night Raw and dive right in, because again, I thought it was a very solid show. I did. Even the Miz and Mrs. Garbage, we have Maurice at least making it somewhat tolerable, and we didn't have John Morrison there, which I was fine with. I think that the Miz without John Morrison is a better Miz. He's kind of locked in with this kind of WrestleMania hangover program with Damian Priest, but with WrestleMania Backlash coming up, kind of makes sense. And Damian Priest gets the victory over the Miz, which, hey, he needs a little bit of momentum himself. He's been riding the coattails of Bad Bunny since Royal Rumble, and he needs a little bit of something himself. And yes, I know it's the Miz. Damian Priest, if you're a Damian Priest fan from NXT, I wouldn't shed a tear. I think better days are ahead for Damian Priest, certainly. And it's not a negative, I don't think, for him to be involved with the Miz right now. Miz is, I think, a kind of a soft landing spot for him, and better days are ahead for Damian Priest. So those of you that are out there, I'm not concerned about Damian Priest whatsoever. It's going to take a while for him to be disassociated in our minds from Bad Bunny. That part of the deal is going to be difficult to detach Bad Bunny from our brains when we see Damian Priest, because we saw it for like 3 months, but eventually that will fade, and eventually he'll get into a program that will start to erode that connection. Again, Bad Bunny did awesome at WrestleMania. I'll be the first to admit it. But I think overall, anytime a celebrity comes in and overshadows the current talent, when that celebrity leaves, you're just left with the talent that they were overshadowing. So it's going to take time to disconnect. And I think it will. Damian Priest, I think, is too good in the ring, and he's got a presence on the mic. I think he does. And Damian Priest, and Bad Bunny had their promo that we didn't see regarding WrestleMania, and it must have been, again, it was recorded right after WrestleMania, the WrestleMania match that they had, the tag team match, and Bad Bunny was the most sincere I've ever seen him be on the mic, and saying that he's glad he came here, that everyone was great to him, and everything's just peachy, right? Like, that's the general the gist of what we saw in the subtitles for those of us that did not understand fluent Spanish. That's what we got, and whatever. I'm ready to move on from this whole story. But okay, so beyond the Miz losing clean to Damian Priest, which I don't think hurts the Miz at all. The Miz could lose 100 matches in a row, and I wouldn't think the same. I wouldn't think differently. The Miz, on the contrary, could win 100 matches in a row, and I also wouldn't think differently of the Miz. He's I think locked in a specific spot in his career for the length and duration of his career. I've sat here and crapped all over Miz and Morrison, and I stand by it. At the same time, when Morrison's not there, Miz is a better character to watch. He's a much more palatable character on camera than when we have his high school frat boy buddy over there, cracking jokes and whatever nonsense he's doing as well. So but Miz is kind of locked in. I will say with Damian Priest's, and forgive me for the moves that I'm not very privy to with Damian Priest in terms of the names of the moves. Damian Priest's move that he does, where it's supposed to be where he slaps the ears from behind, but he's really just clapping his hands. If you notice, I don't know the name of it, so somebody's going to point it out and go, "Oh, it's that." And so forgive me, but it's the move where he's behind his opponent, and he whacks his two arms against the opponent's head. Apparently, that's supposed to be like whacking them in the ears, but it's nowhere near it, and it's obviously nowhere near it. All he's doing is clapping his hands in front of that individual's face. It's just, I don't know. It's not as bad as the big ending finish for Big E, but it's one of those really? I don't know. It makes a loud clapping noise. I guess that's the visual and the audible part of the move. I don't know. Not a fan of that, but other than that, I'm nitpicking, guys. I'm nitpicking. Okay. So beyond that, what did not come on Hulu, what I opened the show with was Sheamus beating down Humberto Carrillo before their open challenge match. So this was supposed to be a U.S. U.S. Open challenge for the championship. And Sheamus attacked Carrillo before the bell and just beat him down badly. I'm cool with this. Humberto Carrillo's got a little bit of a new, a different look now. He's cut his hair a bit. Looks like he's put on some muscle, and I think he's got bigger things ahead. I think it's about building that next star. Sheamus is so established, and he's such a legitimate badass that, number one, he can work with anybody. And I think that Humberto Carrillo is a perfect foil for the bully Sheamus. And again, a perfect mountain for Humberto Carrillo to try to climb. Now, will he win the United States the United States Championship? No. There is literally, I don't want to say no chance. There is a extremely low chance of Humberto Carrillo capturing that U.S. Championship. I guess it's possible, assuming that this program leads all the way out to WrestleMania Backlash, which I believe it will. So there's your card starting to fill up a little bit already with Sheamus and Humberto Carrillo for the United States Championship. Could more get involved? Sure. But I think one-on-one is a better way to go here. And Humberto Carrillo is a really good in-ring talent. And I think giving him time on the mic would certainly help. So Humberto does need that in a pretty big way. So I'm looking forward to the match, assuming that's the match. I know it's like 3.5 weeks away. I understand that. But certainly this has the potential to be a really good match and a lot of hope spots for Humberto. A lot of, maybe a fluke win, not for the championship though, against Sheamus. So I just don't think the United States Championship is ready for Humberto Carrillo at this point. I think Sheamus needs a very lengthy run with that title, particularly since he won it at WrestleMania. So that match took place right before the main event, and we'll get to that main event of Asuka versus Charlotte Flair in just a few minutes. But I do want to also discuss McIntyre and Braun Strowman versus Mace T-Bar. Now, originally, this match was supposed to be just McIntyre versus Mace T-Bar. That was supposed to be the match, but it resulted in a disqualification, which brought out Braun Strowman, who showed up to even the odds. And again, the DQ happened after both of his adversaries attacked him during the match, caused the DQ. Braun Strowman showed up to even the odds. I don't know what exactly Braun Strowman has against Mace T-Bar and or why he cares about coming to the aid of Drew McIntyre. Is it mutual respect? Is it a former friendship? Were we told? Or is it just Braun Strowman is now cast as a babyface and he's trying to help out the babyface? Is that it? I guess I'm going to guess that's the loose, weak narrative that we have a babyface sticking up for another with no real solid reason why. We've never seen an alliance between these two in the past. And furthermore, they just faced one another in a triple threat last week to compete for the number one contendership for the WWE Championship against Bobby Lashley at WWE WrestleMania Backlash. So I don't understand this. I didn't hate it. I was just like, what? Is anyone even explaining things anymore? Or are they just doing it hoping we don't care or have the brain power or capacity to realize there are gaping holes in this story? Whatever. I've got bigger fish to fry in this show, don't worry. So, not going to go on a rant there. There could be one coming. Hint, hint. Drew McIntyre, again, and Braun Strowman actually had a tough time trying to put Mace T-Bar down. And if you were thinking to yourself, like I was, why is this so difficult? Why are they giving Mace T-Bar so much offense here? And at first it angered me because I'm thinking to myself, Mace T-Bar, right? A part of Retribution, one of the worst storylines. It will go down as one of the worst storylines ever in WWE because it wasn't thought through. Again, a seed of greatness was there, but they did not water it properly, for a gardening analogy. And So they've got the stench of that old Retribution, but they alluded to Retribution is dead, right? Even the announcers alluded to that. And rightfully so. I'm glad they didn't try to pretend to be part of Retribution anymore. Their masks got ripped off. So it was interesting to see them without masks for the first time, which actually I think is a good thing. It shows a change of identity. It's stripping away their old skin of being part of Retribution. I think that's good. It's not like it was a big storyline. Like, it's not like they demasked Kane, right? They didn't demask Kane or Rey Mysterio. I mean, these guys were part of Retribution, which was, again, a just embarrassing storyline from the get-go. And that's good. Again, it's a symbolic stripping of their old identities. Fine. It's cool. I'm good with it. I actually like it. But the match actually ended again in a disqualification, going the other way, because the Scottish Warrior, he's not the Scottish Psychopath anymore. He's the Scottish Warrior. That changed, I know, a number of months ago. But I digress. He took Mace's mask and attacked him with it. And boy, did he smack his face with it. Oof. Anybody catch that? That was brutal. It's like a leather mask being slapped in the face. That was rough. It brought an end to the action by DQ. I'm reading WWE's recap if anybody wants to follow along. But in the aftermath, WWE had Braun Strowman follow suit by ripping off T-Bar's mask, as I alluded to. And again, I enjoyed this. I mean, I'm just very interested that this match didn't end. Both of these matches did not end in a solidified decision, which I'm just surprised because the positioning of these two men were very, very low card. I mean, they barely even made it on Hulu every week, if ever. I mean, outside of the first couple weeks of Retribution coming in and people making a big deal out of it, which went nowhere after that, they have been really subjugated to the darkness of the lower card and forgotten. And then they come in and now they're all of a sudden competitive, going toe-to-toe with some of the best in the industry of McIntyre and Strowman. And when I say best in the industry, I know Strowman's not the best in the ring, but in terms of star power. And it was just like, why aren't they just flattening them? Which tells me they have bigger plans for them. Now, MVP denied repeatedly to Drew McIntyre that he had anything to do with the involvement of Mace T-Bar last week. Mace T-Bar, of course, attacked McIntyre again to set up this match. And do we believe MVP? I don't know. He seemed convincing. Certainly, he could be believed one way or the other. I don't know if what the purpose of him hiring these two guys were when he just had two guys that were actually better than Mace T-Bar that he got rid of for what unknown reasons, that Bobby didn't need help, I guess was the reason. But it's just an elevation of new talent, and this is what you expect to see, guys. Again, this is probably something I should have brought up at the beginning of the show. Is, post WrestleMania, you're going to see and should see a cyclical return to new talent to start to build for the year. WWE likes to, after WrestleMania is done, or as Michael Cole would say, WWE. No one will ever hear the same way again when Michael Cole says that. Thanks to Michael Ritter. Him and I had a great conversation on Sunday night doing the weekend review. One of the points came up about Michael Cole, the way he says WWE. Like I say W, he actually goes the extra syllable and says WWE. And he says it so quickly, I don't even know if I can do it. Right? Let me try. WWE. That's a lot of words. I feel like my mouth is full. Somebody try it. Now, you're sitting there and you're wanting to try it, right? So go ahead and do it. I'll give you time. All right. You feel better about yourself? All right. Well, nobody probably did it. I'm probably just acting like a fool. But I don't know. I will never be able to unhear it because I noticed it. But now that I've brought attention to it and consciously said it or consciously, it was brought to my attention and now I'm saying it, none of us are going to be able to unhear it again from Michael Cole. So, all right. Well, let's continue on with the WWE Monday Night Raw review. Oh, God, I better not start saying it. No, I won't. But it's just a normal cycle of WWE's style of booking and their style of how they grow new talent, which makes sense because after WrestleMania, it should be about new talent. It should be about trying to build that new stars for the men and women, to build them throughout the year, to make them contenders, build to SummerSlam, and maybe even all the way to WrestleMania. See what happens. This is a time to experiment. Right? This is normally wrestling's downtime. Actually, wrestling's real downtime is November, December time. But in terms of how the casual fan tunes in and out, we had a lot of casual fans go after WrestleMania. A lot of them went and they went away, and now it's no longer socially acceptable to be a wrestling fan. So they're going to go in hiding for the next 11 months until it's cool, quote cool again to watch wrestling. But for those that are listening to this podcast, we all know what we're talking about here. Like, we all have that friend or friends that make fun of wrestling, and they all pop in around WrestleMania time and go, oh, like they just like pop their head in your window and they're like, hey, cool. Is like Austin going to be there, or like Rock or anybody? Like, they all pick the people from the Attitude Era that are usually there at WrestleMania for an appearance or even a match once in a while, or just to drop a stunner, right? And we all have those friends, and you just know that when you tell them, nope, you're probably not going to know about 85% of the people that you see, it immediately disappoints them because they all just want to see those legacy stars from the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era. And that's, I don't know. Am I alone in this? Am I alone in this, that when we have friends and maybe even family that are interested in wrestling, they only ask around WrestleMania season and they only care about the biggest top names? I don't know. Okay. So again, that's the cycle of WWE. So I would expect them to continue to try to build new talent. I'm all for T-Bar and Mace being elevated. I'm not against them. They were just involved and handed a really, really, really crappy storyline. Really bad. So I want to see what they're capable of outside of the Retribution angle, outside of their identity as them as Retribution members, because Retribution is dead. So I'm cool with it. All right. Well, I'm going to take a really, really quick break, and I want to give a little love to our sponsor here for this show. And the sponsor is Dreary Night Writings. Dreary Night Writings presents Tundra, a wanderer's tale into darkness and 4 tales from hell. Visit the official site of Marilyn Velez at drearynightwritings.com, where the quill drips blood. All right, well, guys, let's continue on here. Let's continue on with Monday Night Raw, and let's see what's next up. I'm scared. I'm trying to conserve my energy for some later segments. We got Naomi and Lana defeating Nia Jax and Shayna Basler. So this is the WWE description. This was not on Hulu. So this is what WWE says. When several videos provided by Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke caused Nia Jax to look the fool, the enraged, irresistible force pursued them and left Shayna Basler alone to suffer the tag team defeat at the hands of Naomi and Lana. Let me take a pause for the cause here. While I'm live on the air here, of course, I have the magic of being able to hit pause, so you don't have to obviously wait for me to do this. I need to go and watch what happened here. So I'm going to hit the little play button on WWE. I'm going to watch what happened. Because I have gotten some really, really bad feedback from co-hosts and fans of the show and obviously of Monday Night Raw that were just really off-put by Nia Jax trying to pretend to slip on the apron because he Mandy Rose did at WrestleMania. And people were just like so off-put. I think Mimi, one of our great co-hosts, was really off-put by it. So I'm going to go pause. Again, you're not going to know I'm pausing because it's just going to be continuous audio, but I'm going to actually take a few minutes and watch it. So let me do that, and I'll be right back with you in one moment. Okay, well, I'm back. Again, the magic of audio here. So I did watch, just to make sure I understood what happened here, with the whole tag team situation and Nia Jax and the whole slipping thing, and they showed a replay last week. Yeah, she clearly was she slipped, which was no doubt, obviously, a play on Mandy Rose's slip on the ramp at WrestleMania 37. And then, again, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke come out, and Mandy Rose, I guess, grew her hair like 3 feet in a week. I have no problem with it. She looks good regardless of short hair, long hair. But she ends up showing the footage, but Nia Jax gets so enraged by them replaying what happened last week because she slipped on the apron, which again, she didn't really slip. And then she leaves the tag match, leaves Shayna Baszler alone, and gets angry, puts her angry face on, and I would say chase, but I'd say walk sternly. How about that? She walked sternly at Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke because of her anger for them replaying that. And Shayna Baszler ends up losing the match via double face buster that was a little bit botched by Naomi and Lana. So this is the beginning of the end, as it has been a long time coming with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. It's got to be WrestleMania Backlash that they drop these belts. I don't know to what team. I don't think Naomi and Lana are really at the top of that list. I think the Riot Squad are at the top of that list. But this has got to be the end, as we've been all predicting for many, many, many weeks now for Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Okay, let's continue on here. And I'm going to talk about Randy Orton and Riddle. Again, although Randy Orton didn't know who that was, I was at first, when Randy Orton was approached by Riddle backstage, Riddle was doing his usual nonsense to whoever he scoots up to in his little scooter. And he's saying, I can't believe you beat him, bro. You beat the Fiend, bro. It's, a rated RK, bro. We can be a tag team. I don't know what to say anymore about Matt Riddle backstage. And Randy Orton demanded a match from Adam Pearce with the guy that just approached him on the scooter, because Randy Orton had no idea who he was. Now, of course, in real life, Randy Orton knows who he is. But in terms of star power, longevity, respect, Randy Orton is light years ahead of Matt Riddle. And it would fit Randy Orton's heel character to not even have the time of day to find out who he actually is on the roster. I mean, you don't even know who your own guys are. You don't even know. I mean, you travel with, assumingly some guys, or maybe you travel alone, but you at least know, if you're such a fan of the game and you're in the company, you know who this dude is. But for Randy Orton to dismiss it and not even know who he is actually kind of funny. I would say that's a good thing and something you don't see very often. When's the last time you had somebody on the roster challenge anybody, men or women, and they're the heel, and they're just so absorbed into themselves that they have no idea what their opponent's name is or who that is? I mean, I can't even remember the last time. So it really is a nice touch. It was a nice touch that Randy didn't even have the wherewithal to know who he was. But this match, it was good. It was hard hitting. And I think Randy Orton, again, I think next week he will say he overlooked Riddle because he lost. Randy Orton lost to Matt Riddle via a quick roll-up. Again, it wasn't the pull the tights type of roll-up. It was a actual, forgive me for the name of it. It was actually a technical roll-up, if there is such a thing. It was a little bit more complex than just the pull the tights that my grandma could do. And it was a surprising win for Riddle, I'll say that. And Randy Orton's come a long way in a year, hasn't he? He's gone from the hottest heel in the industry, where nobody could touch him. He was getting heat on a weekly basis. Nobody could give him his comeuppance. Nobody could give him what's coming to him. He was punting people left and right, to losing to Riddle via a roll-up. Now, again, I'm a fan of Riddle in the ring. I think Riddle has a very bright future. I just think he's ultimately destined to be a heel. I think that Riddle has heel written all over him. I don't think that there's a lot of sustainability in this, I say babyface loosely, this kind of goofy, high as a kite, kind of D-bag, I don't know what personality that he's portraying that Vince tries to look at as comedic, and he's got a funny, quirky character. I think that does not have legs to stand on for very long. I think he will ultimately be a heel, a nasty heel. I mean, he's got a face you want to punch. He does. There's really no two ways about it. You look at the guy, and then he just starts moving his lips, and you're like, you just want to be like, dude, just shut up, please. I don't know. It's a great quality as a heel. I'll say that. And he's got a great future ahead of him. I'm not saying Riddle should go anywhere. I'm not advocating he gets sent down to the Performance Center or he gets, fired. No. I think this guy has a long, bright future ahead of him. He's miscast right now, and I just want to watch him in the ring. Like, I don't want to see anything to do with him backstage riding around on a scooter like a child. So. Okay, Alexa Bliss described how Lily helped her when she was a kid against a mean little girl. So they told us, Alexa Bliss told us that Lily told her to push a girl down on a playground and spill her ice cream or something, or I don't know, some kind of child analogy. And it's like, okay, well, so Lily existed before then? If that's the case, then why did you only change when the Fiend was brought to you? Was she in hiding? Was she buried in your soul? Like, Lily, you told us, just existed before the Fiend came to you, the darkness came to you. So if she was there to eat with you as a child, where was she all these years? I don't know. Didn't get that explanation, but I'm thinking too logically. Thinking in just kind of dumb, illogical terms. I'm fine with this. I also like, here's what I really do like, in all sincerity. She put the women's division on notice. She let everybody know that Lily didn't like the girl on the playground, and that she certainly doesn't like any of the women on the roster. That was I don't want to say the word, you know what I'm going to say. It was a direct, I'm trying not to say the word, I'm trying to think of a synonym for the word. She was telling the women on the roster, how about that? You know what word I'm thinking. She was telling women on the roster that, look out, okay, I'm coming. I think that's great. It's time for her to move on beyond the swing and sitting on her little playground that's made up in the ring to an actual story with someone. It's time. She hasn't had a program with anybody since Asuka challenged her she challenged Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship and didn't win. Yeah, she had made an appearance at the Rumble. She was just about to transform to use her powers, and somebody interrupted her. But she hasn't had a real strong one-on-one program since she associated herself with the Fiend. And you know what? It's done wonders for her career. I think this is an infinitely better character than she was sitting at the high school cafeteria type of personality with Nikki Cross, as Nikki Cross was hanging out with the cool girls. I think this is better. So this has certainly helped her career in a big way, but it's time for her to actually have a story with somebody. And I expect Alexa Bliss to be women's champion maybe even as soon as SummerSlam. I really, really expect and look forward to that. I think Alexa Bliss is really going to excel in 2021. Elias defeats Kofi Kingston. Not a whole lot to say here. Again, another one of the matches is to the surprise of exactly nobody. This was not on Hulu. The match description on WWE.com says, although Xavier Woods used a guitar of his own to play his New Day cohort, Kofi Kingston, to the ring, Elias picked up the win against Kofi. And again, I can, without even watching this, do I really need to watch this, guys? I feel like I don't. I feel like I don't need to watch this because it has no consequence at all. Elias beating Kofi Kingston doesn't hurt Elias, doesn't help Elias, doesn't hurt Kofi, doesn't help Kofi. It doesn't do anything for anyone, good or bad. It's just there. That's it. I would assume that Elias and Jackson Riker are going to go into a program with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. I would think. But, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that right now. It's a little bizarre. Okay, let's move on. And this one is, I said this last week about the Hurt Business, the former Hurt Business of Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander going against the Viking Raiders. I said, what a fall from grace. And I was thinking, well, at least they beat them. Well, this week, I don't know where there's left to fall, because the Viking Raiders defeated Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin after After Eric and Ivar made a spectacular return to Raw with a victory over Cedric and Shelton, the Viking Raiders once again overcame the former Raw Tag Team Champions with the Viking Experience. I really don't know what to say about this. I am sure Cedric and Shelton are like, dude, what the F is going on? I don't get it. I mean, you have Shelton and Cedric go from obscurity to the top of Raw, back to obscurity for no good reason. And now you have two more hired guns that, assumingly, that MVP has acquired. And yet you just let two go. And you're telling us Bobby Lashley doesn't need help. And also hiring people to help him. It's talking out of both sides of your mouth. I don't know what to think about this. But I will say I feel for Cedric and Shelton, who are like, we're really back to the Viking Raiders. Like, that's what we're doing now. And we're losing to them. Clean. Yeah, I'm as confused as everybody else is on this, and disappointed, honestly. I mean, I was a big Cedric and Shelton fan. I loved what they brought to the Hurt Business. They brought youth and experience at the same time, and they found a really comfortable home there. And WWE said, "No, we're going to take you. We got bigger plans for you guys. We're going to make you, we're going to put you in a program with the Viking Raiders." Is that how this was presented? I don't know. I'm just disappointed in WWE for this. So let's get to the main event here, which is really what I am excited to talk about with Charlotte Flair, Asuka, Rhea Ripley, that whole deal. So last week, Charlotte came back guns blazing. I mean, just tearing down the fourth wall, talking about how things weren't her fault, and how, Rhea Ripley was just coming out here and asked for a championship match, and she got it. And I'm thinking to myself, though, the logical me is like, well, if that's all it took, why didn't you come out and contest it? If we're supposed to believe that this is a simulated sport, and that anything can happen at any time, why couldn't you have done the same thing Rhea Ripley did after she came out and contested her? And said, hey, wait, whoa. Get to the back of the line, honey. I'm the queen, blah, blah, blah. I mean, she could have gone on. I mean, again, that logic is just flawed from the beginning. And why nobody contested Rhea Ripley challenging Asuka for, the main event of WrestleMania. One of the main events. To me, there's one main event. There's only one main event, but that's neither here nor there. A big match. How about a championship match at WrestleMania? Nobody contested it. And everyone's just like, okay, cool. The new girl gets it. It doesn't make sense. But Charlotte this week came out and talked about how she's the biggest star that the company has, and that even at WrestleMania that she didn't have a match, that the women in the locker room were still talking about her, which is probably true. I really do think there's a lot of what she says rooted in truth. You can just feel it. This is the most authentic version of Charlotte Flair that I've ever seen. It's not the robotic heel queen. It's not the uncomfortable babyface that a heel's lurking underneath for. This is a new heel Charlotte Flair. But is it really heel? So I'm going to get into that. Is this really a heel? Now, I'm not saying WWE is trying to swerve us. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they actually believe she's a heel. I don't think there's any intent that this is really a babyface, mega babyface hiding under a heel. But this is how I'm viewing it, and I think how a lot of fans are viewing this. This is just my guess, of course, but an educated one. So Charlotte, again, addresses the women and how the women backstage all talk to each other like, hey, girl, hey, and how they're all so fake. Look, we all experience that in our own lives. I do. I know. I mean, when I go to work, which again, I don't physically go to the office anymore, but I still see it on social media. Hey, girl. Hey, how you doing? And I know for a fact that these two women hate each other. Right. Again, it's not just women. I think that men do this too. So I'm not trying to subjugate this to the women, and that, there's a problem with women doing this, stabbing each other in each other's back and just having cat fights. No. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm talking specifically about this because Charlotte's talking about the women, okay? I want to be clear. I'm not saying that women are exclusively like this. Men are too, in different ways. They just act on it differently. So, again, I think that a lot of that's rooted in truth. I'm sure a lot of women backstage don't like one another, and they're all just being fake, exactly the way Charlotte Flair said. Again, another authentic statement that most of us have experienced in our lives, either witnessed or been a part of, and exists throughout almost every company that has ever existed. And so it's really good here. Charlotte gets interrupted though by Asuka. Asuka gets interrupted by Charlotte. Charlotte won't even let her talk, and Charlotte cuts her off. And we have, I think for the first time ever, we had Asuka cuss and call Charlotte a B word, and that led to their match that set up the main event of the show, which is Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. And Charlotte feels just so refreshed, doesn't she? And I'm not talking just because she has super leggy outfits now. I mean, and look, she's spending a whole lot of time with Andrade. If anybody watches her Instagram feed, I don't know how she finds time to, stay in shape the way she does. Because every time I turn around and look at her feed, she's with Andrade on a beach or holding a champagne or whatever it may be with Andrade. She's just, I don't know. It feels like they're always on like an all-inclusive vacation, just like some ongoing vacation. And then she drops in for Monday Night Raw and then flies back out to her all-inclusive with Andrade, doesn't it? And those of you that aren't following Charlotte Flair, just go follow her on Instagram. And I'm happy for her and Andrade. I really am, truly. I'm glad that they're, they have a happy relationship, and, it seems like they're super happy anyway. You got to take social media at a grain of salt. We all know how that goes, right? People sometimes will show you what they want you to see, but you don't see the 95% that lurks behind that picture. So, again, I'm going and taking them on face value. But Charlotte just feels different. The way she delivers her promo, her hair, her outfits are different. She's still telling us the bow to the queen, but this feels more authentic. And even when you have a heel that feels authentic, like Roman Reigns, it could work. And it could work and translate into boos, and then you get the desired reaction. But I feel the opposite here for Charlotte. I feel like she's not trying to be phony. I feel like this is truly her, and she's basing a lot of her arguments and promos in truth. And then in the Raw main event, we have Asuka versus Charlotte. And Asuka beats Charlotte because Rhea Ripley, who was invited to the ring by Charlotte earlier in the night, ends up interfering when Charlotte had the figure 8 locked in on Asuka. Asuka ends up beating Charlotte because of Rhea's interference. So again, I ask you, who's the babyface and the heel in this situation? I don't think that Asuka and Rhea Ripley are teaming up per se. But what is Rhea Ripley doing in all this? Rhea Ripley is becoming unlikable quickly. And I know, again, sample size isn't that big, but Rhea Ripley on the mic was very generic. She didn't impress me with what she had to say to Charlotte. She didn't seem as confident as Charlotte. Again, I'm a big Rhea Ripley fan. I think she has a lot to bring to the table. But, I guess she's supposed to be the heel, though. Maybe that's the desired result here. Maybe I'm going along with what I'm supposed to as a good little fan. Perhaps. But if I'm supposed to also hate Charlotte at the same time, I'm not following it. What? Because she says she's the opportunity? She is the opportunity? That she's the queen? We've been hearing she's the queen forever. Asuka says she's the empress. So what? We don't boo her because she says she's the empress. I'm not going to boo somebody based on their nickname. I'm going to boo somebody based on their actions. And right now, Charlotte Flair, all of her actions don't point to babyface. Don't point to heel. They point to a confident, edgy babyface. Now, they're not going to position her like that. They're going to position her as the heel. And understandably, and I would probably do the same thing. But it's also bordering on Charlotte has evolved so much in a short period of time and come out of her shell, and it feels like this is the true, authentic Charlotte, that you could have a lot of fans, if they were back in person, cheer for this and cheer for her. Understandably, too. This is just, either way you look at it, this is a big step forward for Charlotte. She got a new coat of paint at the right time. Missing WrestleMania may have been the best thing that ever happened to her, because what would they have done? Threw her in a triple threat with Asuka and Rhea Ripley and had Rhea Ripley win anyway, when you could just do this match at Backlash? So, I don't know. I think that this, right now, I don't feel anger towards Charlotte. I actually feel sympathy towards Charlotte, because she's talking about how she missed WrestleMania and it's not her fault. She was involved in all these storylines that were out of her control. So, and by the way, didn't Adnan Virk, is that his name? From the MLB Network, the new play-by-play guy. Did he actually say storylines at the beginning of the show? A lot of storylines have evolved. I think he said that at the very top of the show. I'm like, dude, those are one of the words you don't say. Like, you don't say that, right? Because we all know there's storylines, but you don't actually say that word out loud. On air, anyway. Maybe nobody else caught that or even cared, but I noticed it. You never heard Michael Cole say it. You never hear storylines, or story. It's never something you really say. So, I don't know. Again, I also could be in the minority about Charlotte Flair. And if people are booing her, that's good. That's exactly the desired reaction. I'm not advocating for WWE to turn her babyface, because I think what they've got here with her heel character being super refreshed, they've got something really good. I'm just also at the same time concerned that the fans are going to, gravitate towards that confidence, realize that is exactly what she says she is. She's not lying about anything. Sympathize with her not being able to make WrestleMania because that was taken from her, that she admitted she was supposed to face Lacey Evans, and that didn't happen. So I think there's a lot here and a lot of work to be done for the fans to really boo Charlotte beyond the tired and exhaustive, I'm the queen, bow down to me. That doesn't do it for me anymore. That means nothing to me. It's just a catchphrase that has those are meaningless words at this point, because I've heard it so many times. Those don't have and carry any weight. But the new Charlotte, with her look, with her attitude, with her aggressiveness, you throw it all together, and she has got a hell of a summer coming up, I believe. And Rhea Ripley coming off very unlikable, attacking the other heel, again, feeling sympathetic for Charlotte, the one that we're also supposed to dislike. This is kind of a bit of a mess right now in my mind, but I'm also really liking it. I have no problem with this. It's a very strange conundrum I have in my head about the women's division on Raw specifically. At least I will say this: the Raw Women's Championship is more relevant in a week than it was in 6 months around the waist of Asuka, hidden away, tucked away in hibernation with Asuka. So, all right. Well, that is my weekend review, guys. If you want to join us on the mailbag tomorrow, please do so at realwwepodcast@gmail.com, or if Michael Cole was saying it, realwwepodcast@gmail.com. It just sounds weird, doesn't it? Seriously, though, send us an email with your questions, comments, rants. You can also send us a voicemail, of course. That's an option. And we'll be doing the mailbag tomorrow. Nostalgia is going to be coming tomorrow as well. Haven't done nostalgia in quite a while because things haven't been normal for a while with WWE. But that will be returning tomorrow. I also have, again, little news on Patreon tomorrow as well. What show is going to be moving over to Patreon in the near future. So, with all of that said, everybody, thank you for joining. Thank you for making the show a success. Hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend about our show. Follow us on Twitter at wrestling_audio, on Instagram at WWE_podcast. Or again, get your ad-free experience at patreon.com/WWE podcast. And our entire library of shows ad-free for $1. You get a shout out, as you heard earlier on the show. Again, you can even get a free mug with a certain tier membership for 3 months or more. Really, really cool perks. More perks coming. Videos, exclusive shows, one show's moving over. Lots of good stuff coming up. So everybody, take care. As always, I will talk to you next time.